May 23rd, 2022. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 258 of You Can Bet On That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet On That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting across from me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
So Dr. Mike, a Vegas Introvert, has a YouTube channel, a very popular YouTube channel for Vegas enthusiasts, and he asked us to be guests on his latest episode, so we did that this last week. That was a lot of fun.
It was fun. I hope we didn't ruin his reputation.
Yeah, I hope not. I hope he doesn't lose subscribers as a
right.
result.
What was that?
Yeah. And Vegas Duffy, Josh, was also on the show because Danny thought, Danny said he doesn't know a lot about craps, and we figured we'd be talking some craps. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
It kind of shows you how, in an environment like that, we can just go on and on.
Yeah. And it's funny because when it ended, I thought, oh my God, there was so many things I wanted to say that I didn't. We could have probably talked for 3 hours.
Easily. I know. And I'm trying to take mental notes. I was actually writing some things down, thinking, I got to come back to that, right? That's a good point. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Vegas Introvert, just go to YouTube, do a search on Vegas Introvert, and I will put a link in the show notes to the episode that we were on. So you can unfortunately see our made-for-radio faces on there. So
he's so organized, too. That is what impressed me. Everything was real organized.
And we would kind of go off on tangents.
Right. I felt bad a few times, like, I'm taking this in the wrong direction.
But he would always bring us back to the outline that he had.
That's what we need, like a handler, like the lions at the circus. We need someone with a whip. Yeah.
That's what I'm here for, Mike. All right? I don't know if you've noticed. I'm pretty organized myself here on the show, and I try to rein you in when you go off on the tangents like that. Another thing, too, Josh and his friend Chris, who goes by Small Whale 13 on Twitter, they've started a new podcast called Crap Vegas. Crap Vegas. And we definitely want to recommend it to people. We love the first episode. I think maybe probably because they have kind of the same sensibility that we do.
Right. That's the big part of it.
But something that they'll definitely be covering that we don't cover as much is like hotel rooms and restaurants, we kind of gloss over those because we're just all about, getting to the tables. And sometimes we'll stay in terrible places just because it's like, it's close. It's, we can get down to the tables quickly or whatever. But anyway, give it a listen, Crap Vegas. Another way that theirs is a little bit better, their first episode, the audio was pretty good.
Yes, it was very good.
You go back and listen to our first episode, and it's embarrassing.
Well, technology's changed from the 1700s, Mark.
That is true. Yeah, they didn't have to crank anything up to actually get the
and they weren't in a bathroom probably when they were doing it.
That was a big part of it, too. Yeah. So good luck to them. So this last week, MGM finally took over the Cosmopolitan.
Right, just a few days ago.
Yeah, they actually had bought the Cosmo back in September, but the sale finally was finalized this last week. Right. They bought it from Blackstone, just the casino part. So Blackstone is actually going to own the real estate along with a couple of other entities. But MGM now owns and runs the casino.
The casino. Right. Okay, so they're leasing it from Blackstone? How's that work?
It goes on with these REITs and these, who actually owns the land. And I don't even try to keep track of it in Las Vegas. But that's the way it is right now, is that they own and operate the casino, MGM does.
Okay.
But before the sale was finalized, Blackstone gave $5,000 bonuses to its employees as a surprise.
That's very
over
nice.
5,000 employees. It worked out to about $27 million.
Wow.
And I don't know if this was sort of a farewell going away, but what a great gesture on their part. And
awesome.
It was
it's actually awesome.
I saw some pictures of the employees who were actually at this event where they announced it. Yeah, just a great kind of a thing to do, saying, thanks for all your work and getting this place going. And it's certainly got a reputation as one of the hot spots in Las Vegas, certainly on the Strip. So,
right. I think it's great. Yeah. It's unbelievable, really, because they're closing down. I expect like a frozen turkey. I mean, I know it's May and it's a long time till Thanksgiving, but I thought, well, just put it in your freezer. It's a frozen turkey.
Right.
And get that home quick.
You've got to pick it up today, too, because any turkeys that don't get picked up today, we're just tossing.
Right. Seriously, a lot of times, especially when you're not going to be there anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, send out a thank you email and stuff like that, or, maybe some small, but $5,000, that's a significant bonus.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, that'll pay for somebody for like 2-3 weeks of gas.
That's right. Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah. And just to be clear, these employees, they weren't let go. I mean, they're still working there.
Right. They just all of a sudden found 5,000 extra bucks in their pocket.
Yeah.
It's like they were walking by a trash can and somebody dropped, $500, $100 bills in there.
Yeah, and they were just lying on top. Almost like somebody, deliberately just put them there
right.
as opposed to some kind of accident.
That's what we'll do when we own a casino. When we pass out bonuses, we'll just put them in trash cans and have a free for all the employees.
That's right. And some customer goes by and you're trying to take it. No, sorry, sir. That's for the employees.
Employees only.
Yeah, an employee has to find it. Move along. What about my trash? Move along. Hey, we got an email from listener Charles. He sent us 6. Well, some are questions, some are just kind of comments. And I thought it would make for great show material. So what do you think, Mike? Should we go through these?
I'll try and answer them.
All right. So let's start with number 1 from listener Charles. Mark's evolution of his gambling bankroll and the stakes he plays at. In the early days, Mark would get a little stressed if he had to play at a $15 table. Now he is playing at $25 or $50 tables. So
that's my fault.
It's a lot of it is your fault. But no, I mean, some of it came from, after the pandemic and they reopened, the limits were very high. And then I just went on a tear last year, where I could do no wrong.
Right.
So I was definitely playing at higher levels. Right. And the difference is because of the good year that I had.
Sure,
suddenly my bankroll was much bigger. Now, we've talked about on the show, this year has been just absolutely terrible, right? It's been the opposite.
Right. And you've actually lowered your playing.
And you
were still at a $25 table or something, but you're playing less bets.
I mean, now it's basically, I'll place the 6 and 8 for 30, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I'm not, and don't press.
Right.
And, I'm just going to see if I can survive.
I like how several dealers just right off the bat knew what you were doing, how you turned a $25 table into a $5 table by
kind of making place bets like they were come bets?
Place bets like they were come bets. Yeah. After a number was rolled, then you place it, and that's just like a $5 come bet with 20 odds or 25 odds or whatever. Right. So you were playing at a $5 table, really, in your mind, right?
Yeah. So look for me to really reduce even more, because, I mean, I can't remember the last time I won.
Yeah, I know. You've had a rough year.
It's been terrible. Yeah. So I think things are going to get back to normal, and I'm going to be the red chip player like I was when the podcast started. So, all right, number 2. I've always been curious about Mark's relationship with the fire bet. Mark takes pride in avoiding dumb, quote-unquote, bets, but used to bet the fire bet all the time. Why was that bet different? And why don't you bet it anymore? Was it just the bad habits of the doctor rubbing off on you?
Let me answer that.
All right, go ahead.
Mark never bets the fire bet, ever.
I never bet the fire bet. Let's come clean.
He's putting a bet on there for another person he's with.
Exactly.
So that person can get 2 fire bets.
Right. So although technically the bet is out in front of me and I get paid, I'm making a bet for Mike because Mike wants to bet more than the maximum.
Right.
A lot of times the maximum on the fire bet is $5. And so Mike says, well, I'd like to have 10 on there. So he puts $5 in front of him and then gives me $5 to bet in front of myself.
The only downside to that is when we hit it, I got to pay the taxes. Of course, I get the money too, so I guess that's okay.
So, then we have to get your accountant to come in and work out the taxes.
So
that I'm not paying against those bets on my taxes. And so we've kind of worked it all out.
Yeah.
The only exception, and this is kind of funny because I sent an email to listener Eamon recently about this. There was a period there where we could only get our free play in table chips.
Right.
We couldn't get the free play in slots or video poker. These free play chips, they would take them whether the bet lost or won.
Right.
So they couldn't just stay out there.
Oh.
And without going into a lot of details, it actually made more sense for me to bet the fire bet than anything else at the craps table.
Right. And they only did that for a short time.
It was only a short time.
And you bet the fire bet and won it.
I had not a 6, but a
The
5.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're up for your life on fire bets.
Actually making the fire bet, right. So, during that period. So sort of ironically, I won way more with those free play chips on the table game than I would have if I had slot play.
Right. Or if it was chips that could stay out there for a while because you would have used them for betting other stuff.
Yeah.
But since they were one-time use, you just got nickels and bet fire bets every time.
So if you go back and you listen to those episodes, it does sound like we're both betting on it. But no, and we didn't really mention it on the show because it's like, well, we don't want them to know that it's actually his bet, and we're not doing anything wrong. I'm making the bet. I'm going out there and
well, as far as they're concerned, I just gave you $5 because I like you, and here here's a fire bet for you.
Yeah, and so they've made money off Dr. Mike.
Yeah, they've made money. Right.
But if you do hear those older episodes, that's what it comes down to. So I feel like I'm vindicated here.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3, I was listening to an episode the other day, and Mark was going on and on about how terribly boring Baccarat is, and it's just a mindless game. Fast forward to present day, and it's his favorite game and can't get enough of it. All right. I won't go so far as to say it's my favorite game.
No.
All right.
No.
And I did say on a recent episode that the only version I liked was the squeeze game where you got to touch the cards.
Right.
And it was the whole ritual and being with friends.
Yeah, you like
that I liked.
Friendly aspect, kind of like craps,
right,
as opposed to a blackjack table or something like that.
So even though maybe it's a contradiction that I am now willing to play squeeze games, and I actually very much enjoy squeeze games, I don't really like Baccarat as a game,
right?
The rules and everything. And I would certainly not play it under any other circumstances if it were not a squeeze game.
Right. Or if you were with friends. Would you play a squeeze game by yourself?
No. I would never. Yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah.
I would never play it by myself or with somebody I didn't know, really. I mean, no, I'd want to be there with friends. Yeah, that's another good point.
Yeah.
If there was a seat at a table and it was a full table otherwise, no, if I didn't know anybody, I wouldn't do it there either.
No, it wouldn't be fun for
social things with my friends.
Yeah.
So it's certainly not my favorite game. Craps is still my favorite game, and I will go and play a craps game by myself.
Sure,
Yeah. Number 4, there's an episode where Dr. Mike is sick and talks about going to the casino anyways, and the next week all the dealers were sick. He was laughing about it, and I thought it was hilarious. Later on during the COVID episodes, the doctor gives us advice on always staying home when you're sick. It's just funny listening to how much times have changed. Well, we definitely are in a different world.
Well, that was prior to COVID, and that was like a cold.
Right.
And, I did feel bad about that, but I had to go to the casino. It's my duty.
Right. Nobody was wearing masks before COVID, so
And if it wasn't me, it'd be someone else getting them sick.
That's right. And you probably tipped them pretty big.
Yeah,
so.
But I don't. Nowadays, if you've got anything, you probably should. As a matter of fact, just today, my wife ran into somebody shopping, an old neighbor.
Uh-huh.
And she's talking to him and everything. She comes home and she's telling our daughters. And my one daughter says, well, I was just talking to their son. They've got COVID.
Oh, God, really?
Yeah. And then they were at the market. And I'm like, oh, my God, how close were you? Am I going to get sick? They're out in the supermarket without a mask.
Okay. We don't recommend that, folks.
Yes.
If you've got COVID, stay home for at least a few days, please.
Yeah. Give it a chance to diffuse through your body.
Yeah.
What did we used to say? Give it a chance to dissipate.
Dissipate.
Yeah.
It's like in Goldfinger.
Yeah.
When there was that knockout gas. That dissipated so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were always amazed.
It's a good movie, but man, that stuff dissipated. Yeah. All right, number 5. Can we get a report on Dr. Mike's bowling skill? I'm a bowler myself and have always had an interest in how the doctor is as a bowler. What's his high game? Has he ever had a 300? And if so, how many does he have? Also, what's his high series? So what do you got, Dr.
Well,
Mike?
I've never had a 300.
No, okay.
I've been very close many times.
Yeah.
A lot of times in the 280s.
Okay.
So somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And when I started having back issues and stuff, my average went down, but it was normally in the 190s somewhere. Low 190s, 185 to 195, I'd say in that range.
Okay, yeah.
So, I don't even know what my highest series is.
Okay.
I've kept some slips from like League when I had a good series and stuff over the years, but I'd have to go back and look at them. Yeah. Now, I mean, bowling's done, so for
that's
me,
too bad. Yeah.
I just don't have the coordination anymore.
I've only bowled with you a few times, and I'm sort of embarrassed because you got great form, and you hit a strike, and I'm up there, hoping that I actually release the ball. So,
it's something you have to practice.
Sure,
at. It's course, like anything else. Like me going golfing. Yeah. I've golfed plenty of times, but I'm terrible at golfing. I mean, I just don't do it enough.
Yeah. All right, and last one, number 6. I love in the older episodes the random curse words Dr. Mike will let fly. It always shocks me and just catches me off guard. I understand y'all have a family-friendly podcast, but it would always just crack me up. Do you curse less on the show now?
I guess, before? Maybe.
Yeah. I would bleep out anything that couldn't play on network TV, basically. And I think the bleeps are funny. Those crack me up, actually, more than anything else.
In our real lives, we don't curse that much.
No, that's the other thing, too. We do really
sometimes when we're with each other.
Yeah, or but like not, we're on the drive up to the casino.
Yeah, and we're usually doing it to be funny, like complaining about somebody or casino play or something. We'll use some choice words. Yeah. But in our real lives, we don't really curse that much.
We've talked about it on the show before, too. It's not that we're family friendly and that we want kids listening to the show as well, right? Because it is about gambling. But I just remember back when my son was in middle school and high school, I would have to drive him. He was at a charter school, so it wasn't close to our home. So it was a pretty good commute. It took me about a half hour to get him to school. And I would listen to podcasts while he was in the car. And there were only so many that I could listen to, because of the language, right? And I thought, well, okay, and we don't cuss that much. Let's make it a show where if somebody, has a kid listening in the background, at least he's not going to hear bad language or anything like that. So.
Well, I think the crux of it is that I have no problem listening to podcasts where they use language at all or watching movies like that or anything. It doesn't bother me at all. Yeah. And my daughters are grown up now. They've heard every word there is, at school, right? So I don't really care about them. But whenever I'm in a situation where there's people I don't know, let's say we're at a craps table, I don't use bad language because I don't know what other people's feelings around. I don't want to offend anybody or, somebody not want to hear that kind of language, so I don't use it. Yeah. Now, if I knew everyone on the table was perfectly okay and nobody else could hear me, I might say something, but otherwise I don't. And I'm always dismayed by people who do. Do you remember a few weeks ago when you were out at Harrah's? It was a Saturday night. There was a guy on the other table who was obviously drunk.
Oh, yeah.
He was using quite a bit of language. Yeah. And he was loud.
Well, and it wasn't just the language. He was using it to sort of attack the pit boss and dealers and things like that. That's where it gets out of hand. Yeah.
And it was getting out of hand. And I was thinking, oh my God, there's people around here. I mean, they're not that I'm saying that everyone's prude or something.
It is a casino after all.
Yeah, it is a casino. And I'm sure everyone's heard that before. But I mean, enough is enough. I mean, he was going on and on. It was getting a little out of hand.
But no, like you said, we have no problem. Look at, say, like 5 Honey by Midnight or Two Morons. Yeah. I mean, the language on those shows, I mean, it makes us laugh, right? I mean, that's part of the charm of it.
Yeah. So I guess it boils down to there's a point in time when it's appropriate and somewhat amusing or whatever. And there's times when it's not. Ours probably isn't because, seriously, might be people who don't appreciate that.
All right, well, throw in something every once in a while. Cuss every once in a while. I'll just bleep it out, and I'll get a big kick out of it, too. So,
I'll talk about the guy that told me to be quiet last night.
Oh, okay, yeah, and then you can cuss about that. Yeah.
I'll cuss about that.
Yeah. All right, well, thanks, Charles, for those questions and comments. He had said that he goes back and listens to old episodes. So, he's definitely going to find some inconsistencies in our claims and beliefs and things like that.
In our lives.
After this many episodes, that's right. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link towards the top of the page. All right, let's move on to voicemails. First up is Luke.
Hey, I was listening to the show just today, whatever, and I got really excited listening to your plans for the WSOP. I am excited for anybody to go to the World Series. It's shocking to me that any poker player could ever miss it. It's a spectacle. We are 20 years past the poker boom, and it's just amazing. You just can't even describe the crush of poker playing at this thing. But, man, Omaha 8 is a rough way to go. I feel like you would agree that game selection is one of the most important things you can do as a gambler. It's the oldest poker cliche in the book is it's no good to be the 9th best poker player in the world if all you do is pay with the top 8. And Omaha 8, I mean, that's a tough tournament. But I'm not trying to talk anybody out of going to the World Series. I'm just saying, if you are 50 years or older, the week of June 18th to the 27th is Seniors Palooza. We got the bracelet event on Wednesday, $1,000 buy-in for 50 plus. But you know how the other casinos build everything around the bracelet events. Starting on Monday, you have a seniors event, $1,000 win on Monday. The Venetian has $1,100 buy-in later in the week. Then you have Aria's $600 buy-ins. You can literally get up and play a new seniors event every single day. Yes, sadly, it is no limit hold'em, but that's where the biggest fields are. The bigger the field, the softer the field. And I just feel like if you love poker and you're 50 years old or older, you cannot not be in Vegas the week of, I think the bracelet event is on the 20th or the 22nd, but that entire week is as good as it gets if you are a 50-plus poker player. Thanks, I love the show.
Yeah, good. Thanks for letting us know about that. That's one thing, too,
good.
about the World Series of Poker is that other casinos that have poker rooms put on tournaments, too. You know, everybody's in town to play poker, so you can find a lot of deals like that.
If you're there for a few weeks and you're saying a couple of events, in between, you might want to go to play a smaller event somewhere else, too.
Yeah. So let's talk about this now. You are going to be coming with me to the World Series of Poker, right?
I plan to come.
Good. Yeah. Now, you're not going to be playing in any events, but you're going to be coming to kind of rail me and
support you.
Yeah, great. Good. So that's going to be on June 3rd. That's the Friday when the tournament starts. Yeah, so Luke was talking about Omaha 8. Here's the thing. Okay, he makes a good point. If you play in a no-limit hold'em tournament, it's going to be a softer field. Simply because that's what everybody plays, right? So you may have somebody.
There's a lot of people who aren't even really good players that just get a kick out of playing in a big tournament. Yeah.
So it is true that at an Omaha 8 tournament, there's probably not going to be anybody just showing up, oh, this looks like a fun game, or, oh, I've seen this on TV. People who are in this tournament have played Omaha 8, right? And you're probably not going to get people who, oh, I forgot you have to play 2 cards from your hand, right? People are going to know how to play.
Yeah, it's when you sit down, now, what are the rules? You should just rule out, what are the rules?
The thing is, I don't think I'm a very good Hold'em player, but I think I am a good Omaha 8 player, Omaha 8. So
you're a good poker player overall.
Okay, but
you're probably better at Omaha 8. I would agree with that. You are much more patient than most people.
I really feel confident in that game. And I know a lot of people don't. We played in a poker tournament, or I played in a poker tournament last night. Dave's poker tournament, my friend. You had to come late, so you weren't able to play in the tournament, but you came and kind of watched and was watching me play. And we talked about a little bit Omaha 8, and the general consensus among players were, oh, Omaha 8, oh, that's a tough game, or that's really tricky, and
that's what they are.
It can throw you off when you are learning the game right away, especially if you're coming from Hold'em. Well, anyway, I'm just kind of going on and on about how, some people look at Omaha 8 as, oh, it's harder than Hold'em. I find it easier than Hold'em. And maybe it's because, like we talked on the last episode, a lot of it is about hand selection.
Right.
What I find, too, easier about it is I am more confident where I am in a hand compared to Hold'em. Hold'em, it's like, oh my gosh, does that guy have the flush? Is my, second pair good enough? Whereas with Omaha, it's like, that guy does have the flush. My second pair is not good enough.
Right.
I'm folding, something like that.
Right.
So.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
And you're the kind of person that will make those moves. You will look at the hand and say, no, I'm not going to win this, and you're out.
Yeah.
As opposed to some people who we know who will look at it and say, if I hit that magic card, I could win this hand.
Yeah.
And they stay in, and that's where you get in trouble. You cannot do that. Every once in a while, you're going to hit that magic card, but most of the time you're not, and it's going to drain you quick.
Yeah.
So it's a different beast.
All right. Well, let's not talk too much more about it because I know a lot of people aren't familiar with Omaha 8. But the point is, yes, I'm going to play in the World Series of Poker. Mike is going to join me on the trip. We'll probably be staying at Bally's. I'm still waiting to hear back from my host. But probably at Bally's right there where the action is. So,
and I'm picking you as the odds-on favorite to win. Right? I don't even care who's playing.
All right.
Helmuth, be careful because Mark's coming after you.
I don't think he'll be playing in that tournament, to be honest. I hope he's not, to be honest. Yeah. All right. Next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Andrew up in L.A., sitting in traffic as you might expect. And so I thought I'd give you guys a call and tell you just a couple things that I was thinking about as I was listening to your last episode. Last time we were in Vegas, we went to the Gold Coast, which, by the way, to your listeners, to the low rollers, if you go to Gold Coast, if you go to Orleans, all those Be Connected properties, I really like their comp system for the low rollers. I think we've gotten comped rooms on weekdays and some other really great things, and we are not big players, so just a word to the wise there. But last time we were there, 2 stories. The first one, the lady in the stick position at the craps table was killing me. Every time there was a roll, she would, for some reason, stare at the dealer to her left, watching them do all their payouts, and it wasn't like they didn't trust them. It was almost like she was just sort of zoned out, just watching his hands move. I don't know why. Meanwhile, everybody on her right, including myself, were throwing chips in the middle, yelling bets, and she wouldn't move. And then right when she's about to put the dice out, she says, "Oh, what's this?" And we would all have to say our bets all over again. And it must have happened 5-6 times. It was infuriating. The second story is a positive one. I was playing roulette at Gold Coast. A man walks up, buys in for $500, puts it all on red. So the pit boss walks over, makes sure it's a nice fair spin, spins red, gets his $500. I kind of look at the money, and I'm sort of waiting for him to pick it up, and I kind of glance over, and it's almost like he's not even paying attention. So I just sort of said, "Hey, are you going to let that ride?" And he said, "Yeah, let it ride." So pit boss walks back over. The guy makes sure it's a fair spin, gives it a spin, red. So the guy doubles up twice to $2,000 and just walks away a happy man. That was probably the most I've ever seen somebody win all at one time, so that was really cool for me. Anyways, guys, love the show. Best of luck at the World Series of Poker. Omaha 8, it's such a great game, very underrated. I wish you best of luck. I'm sure I'll talk to you again. See you later.
All right, thanks. You. So there's another fan of Omaha 8. Yeah.
Well, if you're a poker player, and we played poker since we were, from 10 years old.
Sure, yeah.
And,
yeah.
It's a good game.
Yeah,
It's a good game. It's a fun game, right?
It's nice to hear Andrew talking about Be Connected, the Players Club there, being good for low rollers. We've heard the last couple of years that their benefits have really gotten a lot worse. So it's good to hear that. Maybe it's better if you go to sort of these more local casinos, or as opposed to, say, their downtown properties. But anyway, that's good to hear. Yeah, for low rollers. Good.
I don't know what was going on with the zoned out dealer.
Yeah, who knows?
It's kind of weird.
I don't know.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, we had some dealers out there who they weren't zoned out, but it was like they weren't paying attention to the game.
Yeah, they were in their own little world.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the dice. There's no additional action coming in. It's like,
Mark,
send them.
I was getting so frustrated.
I know you were.
Oh, my God. It was driving me crazy because they're just chatting away about stuff, their life stuff.
Yeah.
And the dice are just sitting there.
Yeah.
And there's just you and I on the table. I'm like, well, send the dice. Keep talking
it's like
to yourself.
Your hands going out like, okay, I'm ready.
There's nothing else going on. What are you doing? That can be very, very frustrating. It's not good for business.
No, when they're off kind of in their own little world, it's like, hey, your customers here.
I know I hate to say this. I sound like a boss because I've been a boss for 40 years. But you're at work to work.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's nice to make it fun and be interactive and stuff, but there's a limit to that too.
Yeah, and I don't have any problem with them, socializing.
Oh, just keep
just
the
not
game
at
going.
the expense of the game, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
Yeah. All right. Next up is Nathan.
Hey guys, this is Nathan from Sacramento, California. I'm a fairly new listener, but I had a Vegas trip report, quick one to give you, and regarding an old episode, you talked about getting the IRS form for winnings over $11.99 and how I think Dr. Mike's brother didn't get one and he just cashed out at $11.99 a while back. Well, I have the opposite story for you. I was at Planet Hollywood a couple of weeks ago, and they have the stadium table games on the video screen. I was playing Baccarat on there, and I was down some, so I bet a little more than usual. I bet $600, and I won. So the machine locked up, and it said pay off $1,200, and I had to get a hand pay for, $1,200, even though $600 was mine. They couldn't explain it to me. They just said that's the way it is, and that's how it's going to be. So I had to take it. But I was playing Baccarat Golden Nugget, and I had a horrible time there, just down every shoe. So I was doing what you're not supposed to do and try to get your money back in one shot. So I walked to the Golden Gate. I went up to the craps table and I bet a $500 hard 8. I know Dr. Mike might appreciate this. About 3 rolls and 7. So I had a little bit left and I went back to Golden Nugget and I bet another $500 hard 8. After about 2 rolls, the dealer said, I think this is coming. And 2 rolls later, I rolled it. I was the only one at the table. I got $4,500 for that and got a lot of my money back. So overall, it was a good trip, and you guys are doing a great job. Hope to run into you sometime. Thank you.
My hero.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
What's the most you've ever had on a hard way? Probably 300. That's the max at Harris, Southern California, right?
300.
Have you had more than that?
Well, yeah, I might have gotten in the 500 range in Vegas a few times. Yeah. I seem to remember there were a few times where, you know, I was winning pretty big and $100 hit, and I just said, oh, you know, go to 500 or something. Yeah. I don't ever remember winning a $500 bet, but I do remember getting there. Yeah. I wouldn't recommend that for people. That's a hard way to get your money back.
No, but at least
having
it worked out for Nathan.
Was cool.
Yeah. Well, he's talking about getting a W2G for what was essentially a $600 win. Yeah, these stadium gaming machines, a lot of the casinos consider them slot. Are they table games? Are they slot machines? Well, I guess they're erring on the side of caution and just saying, okay, they're slot machines. But yeah, it's frustrating because he bet 600.
Right.
He won 600, so he's getting $1,200 back. So they're saying, oh, that's a $1,200 win.
Well, like a slot machine, right? If you
it would, yeah, very much like a slot machine.
Even if you put $5 in and you get $1,200 back, well, you only got $11.95, but you know they count it as $1,200.
Yeah, well, think of it in these terms. Even though it's even money, 1-to-1, think of it instead as being 2-for-1. It's the same thing, but what you're doing is you're giving them 1, and they're paying you 2, and that's what happens here. Let me read directly from the IRS here, and we can talk about this a little bit more.
Okay.
So it says that a W2G has to be issued if the player receives $1,200 or more in gambling winnings from bingo or slot machines. All right, and that includes video poker, and in this example, it includes stadium gaming.
Yeah, because the thing with that is gambling winnings. That's where the ambiguity comes into.
But that's why I want to read this next line about Keno, even though we're not talking about Keno. The second line says $1,500 or more in winnings reduced by the wager from Keno. Okay. The only reason I bring that up is because that first line that I read doesn't say reduced by the wager. So it almost implies that you don't reduce the bet on a slot machine by the wager when you're coming up with this $1,200 figure.
Now, who's the genius who decided Keno would have a softer
You want to make it very clear that you reduce it by the wager.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're probably not betting $750 on Keno and winning $1,500. Right. You're probably betting $5 and you got lucky. And you won.
Right. I'm going to start that $750, you know, 2-number Keno card.
That's going to be your thing from now on?
That's going to be my thing.
So, I don't know. Yeah, Nathan, maybe in the future bet $599 and then, you know, you're guaranteed that the most you're going to have to, you know, cash out for is $1,198, right?
Yeah.
You won't have to worry about that. Or better yet, hopefully this law goes through and they actually raise the minimum to $5,000 for slot machines, and, you know, we'll see.
I mean, we have a lot of antiquated laws in the world.
Yes, right.
And this is one of them that might be up at the top of the list.
Well, for us anyway. I don't know about the top of the list for society in the world, but for gamblers, it's definitely
at the list. And, you know, I mean, think about it. At $1,200.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
I mean, honestly, you know, when it takes $200 to fill up your car and gas,
all right,
$1,200 is not that much money.
Yeah, this is common territory. I think we've dealt with this before. All right, we're going to hear from Nathan again later on in the show. All right, next call.
Hey, Mark, Dr. Mike. This is Big Larry from Rochester, Minnesota. I enjoyed your recent podcast where you discussed the Kentucky Derby and the improbable winner, Rich Strike. I was at the Derby this year, and it was one hell of a race. When they came around the final turn and Epicenter made his move, I thought my exacta bet was in the bag. Could not believe the move the jockey made to the inside and breezed to the win. and looked over to my daughter only to see a big smile on her face. She had a $2 win bet on Rich Strike. Unbelievable.
Nice.
Dr. Mike, if you are interested in attending next year's Derby or future ones, I'd love to be your wingman. I'm good friends with Dave and Julie from San Diego, and they know how to get a hold of me. Derby Week is a lot more than just a race. Thanks again for all you guys do and a very enjoyable podcast. And Dr. Mike, I would love to play craps with you again in Vegas sometime in the future. Thanks again, guys.
Hey, Big Larry. Yeah, that sounds good. I'll be living about 35 miles from you down in Caledonia.
Yeah. Now, I don't think I've met Big Lair.
Maybe not. I have several times. Right. I have several times in Vegas. Yeah, he's friends with David and Julie.
Yeah. All right, so we haven't really talked about it on this show, and since you mentioned it, we did kind of mention it on Vegas Introvert.
Right.
But you haven't mentioned on this show. You actually said living in Minnesota.
Yes.
Let our listeners know what's going on here.
Yeah, so I'm going to be moving to Minnesota in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
We're going to live in Caledonia, Minnesota, which is about 35, 40 miles south of Rochester, where Big Lair is.
Yeah.
And so, I'd love to go to the Kentucky Derby with you. We'll drive together. My wife would probably love to go too. And we have relatives who live there.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So we have rooms. We can just stay with them.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're moving there because I'm kind of forced into retirement due to health issues.
Yeah.
So that's going to be it. We're going to still continue the podcast.
Yep, show's going to go on. Yep. I bought Mike a nice fancy headset that he can use, And
we'll have less shared trips, but I will be coming to San Diego a lot because my parents are still here, and my brother and sister and everybody at family.
Yeah.
So I'll be here fairly often.
Right. So anytime you're here, I'm sure a trip
anytime
up to the
I'm here, we're
casino's
probably going up to Harrah's. My dad will go along if he can make it. But we'll be coming down.
So fear not, everybody.
Nothing too much is going to change other than my place of residence and my lifestyle.
Yeah.
I will become a low roller because retirement, I can't. There'll be no income.
So the end of an era in some ways, but we're still going to be gamblers. How could we not be?
Yeah, right. I'll just be playing a lot more, cribbage and stuff.
Yeah, I understand.
Euchre and whatever.
Euchre, right. All right, next call.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Greg from Kansas City. Me and a buddy of mine recently got back from a work trip at Mandalay Bay. And while we were walking the strip there, we decided we were going to see how many different games we could play at different casinos. So we started off at the Aria and played 3-card poker. At Cosmo, we played high card flush. We did the claw machine at Bellagio. Then Caesar's Palace, we played Baccarat. We said goodbye to the Mirage and played some free bet blackjack there. Hit the Double Diamond Deluxe at Treasure Island. Resorts World has Sick Bow. Had not seen that in a while, so we played that. Made our way to Slots of Fun and did the big wheel there. Circus still has coin-in machines, so we did the coin-in slot machines there. We crossed the street to head back and did the Fortune Cup at Encore. At Wynn, we played craps and, of course, had the Lemon Drop Martinis, which are our favorite. Palazzo played Ultimate Texas Hold'em. Roulette at the Venetian. Keno at Casino Royale. Mississippi Stud at Harrah's. We played Pai Gow at the Link. At Flamingo, we played a game called Keep It Straight, which is a test game similar to High Card Flush, only with straights instead of flushes. Weren't a big fan of it. It seems like the dealer doesn't qualify nearly enough, and they only qualify on a 3-card straight or better. Then went to the Cromwell, played Crazy 4 Poker. At Bally's, played Let It Ride. At Paris, we did Video Poker. And finally, Casino War at Planet Hollywood. So in all, we did 21 games at 21 casinos, 30,000 steps, 12 hours, and 12.5 miles walking. But it was a good time, and somehow we both ended up a couple $100 after playing 21 different games, which is probably the most incredible part of the thing. Love your show. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.
Yeah, I love that.
That's excellent. Yeah.
Do you think that's something that you could do? Would you be willing to do that?
Walk 12 miles?
Well, no. Let's say we get you a scooter.
Yeah, then I'll do it.
But go to different casinos and play a different game at each place. Could you do that? And you wouldn't you wouldn't see the craps table and think, oh, I wish I could go
as long as we kept moving. Because I don't want to go somewhere and play, war for 2 hours.
No. But just a few hands, then move on.
Yeah.
Because I would love to do something like that. That
I'll
sounds
do
like
it
a lot
with you.
of fun.
Yeah, I'll do it with you.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to do it in like a 2-hour period, 21 casinos in 2 hours.
Oh, so we're going to set a record. Is what you want to do.
I'd like that.
I'll need.
You'll get a scooter.
I'll
too.
get a scooter too. Yeah. All right.
How about we just hire a driver?
Well, but
to drive us from place to place, drop us off at the door.
Yeah, so what? We're at Harrah's, Las Vegas, and we want to go to the Link, so we have somebody drive us? Yeah. We can't just walk over there?
No.
I'm moving on. I'm moving on to the next call.
We're driving.
Next call.
That's a great trip, though. I mean, that sounds like fun. Yeah. Now they didn't have a drink at every casino.
No, it wasn't that kind of crawl.
21 drinks, 21 casinos. 21 minutes.
Yeah.
How about that? That'd set a record. That'd probably kill you.
Yeah.
But it might set a record.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is David from Wichita. Our governor just signed a bill making sports betting legal in Kansas, but it also included a provision to allow an old Greyhound racetrack to install 1,000 historic horse racing machines. The state was instantly hit with a lawsuit from the Kansas Star Casino, saying these machines violate an agreement they have with the state. The courts have to decide if these machines are really a slot machine or not. My question is, have you ever heard of these historic horse racing machines? What is it? What do they look like? And have you or anyone from the audience ever played on one? I'm really looking forward to the response. Thanks, guys.
All right. We've never played
Sigma
one
Derby?
of these. No. I wish it were Sigma Derby.
Okay.
No. As far as I'm concerned, they're slot machines, but it's sort of ridiculous. Instead of the outcome being based on a random number generator or, some kind of lottery system or something like that, it's based on past horse racing results, but it kind of still plays like a slot machine. It's not like you're betting horses to win, place, and show or anything. No, you pick 3 horses, and then it kind of spins like a slot machine. And then, a horse race that it's based on plays up in the corner. You get to see it.
Some like old horse race from years ago?
Horse race, but you don't know what track it's from or anything. Here's the thing. You pick the 3 horses. You could just do it randomly. A lot of these have a button, too, where it's like, do the best handicapping that you can. Supposedly they even have stats from the racing form, the daily racing form that you can look over to decide on the horses. But then it just kind of plays like a slot machine. It's just, that's the whole point, is that it's not based on random elements. It's based on a past horse racing. It's sort of ridiculous, I think.
Well, if you knew the results of the past horse race.
No, you don't have any, they don't give you any information about what track it was on, what year, or the horse. No, you don't get any of it.
You know the jockeys or anything?
No, nothing. No, there's nothing.
Just the times that the horses ran in the past?
I don't even know what the racing form stats are that, you get to see here.
Yeah.
It's basically to try to get around slot machine laws. It's like, oh, no, it's not a slot machine because, it's not a random number generator. Okay. No, it's based on historic horse racing results.
Wow.
I think they're silly. Now, it's just a way to get around a law if they can get around the law. And that's what, David was talking about here. Yeah.
So if we were in Back to the Future and we had a book with all the previous horse racing from ever, and I had a computer that could real quickly determine what race that was, we would never lose.
No, you don't need the book from the future. We are in the future.
Oh, I mean, from the past. He had that book of sporting
I know
events.
what you're getting at, but what I'm saying is we do know the results. It's just there's nothing on the machine that gives you any indication of what race you're betting on.
This just seems like there'd be some way to find out.
All right, go for it, my friend.
I'm going to start telling people I'm retired and I'm an advantage. I'm an AP player at horse racing machines. On what? Horse racing machines. I'm an AP player.
Yeah, historic horse racing machines. You need to include that in there. So,
because the new ones aren't as good, Mark.
I memorized all the races, so I could have figured out.
Those new horse racing machines.
That's the thing. You hear that. Oh, historic horse racing machines. And you think, oh, okay, I'm going to be betting on an old horse race like I could. I'll bet the exact. No, they're slots. Feel free to investigate on your own, Dr. Mike, and good luck to you.
I've got an old time that I found in an antique shop somewhere in the Midwest, piggy bank, where, piggy banks originally were kind of like mechanical devices.
Well, some were, they were fun. Yeah,
they were fun. I've got 2 or 3 of those.
Yeah.
And that's what it reminds me of, some kind of old time machine.
I wish it were
it's
that
just
fun.
fun to look at.
Yeah. All right, let's hear from Nathan again.
Hey guys, how's it going? This is Nathan from Sacramento. I just had something that I thought was kind of funny, but you might appreciate it, but I don't know, maybe nobody else will find the humor in it. But anyway, about a year ago, my bank changed names and changed routing numbers. I actually memorized my routing number and checking account number so I don't have to look it up all the time. And I was like, oh, great, I have to memorize a new one now. Well, the first glance at the new one, I said, oh, this is going to be great. It's easy. The routing number, and remember, I'm not making this up, is 121102036. So if you look at the numbers, you'll notice it's the horn on the craps table plus a 6. So being a craps player, I thought that was kind of ironic and kind of interesting. Hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for the good work.
All right. Next time we're playing at the casino, Mike, I want you to throw money into the table and yell out, horn high 6.
Horn high 6.
Just see what they do. Because the 6 at the end kind of messes it up. I know it's easier for him to memorize because he's thinking horn numbers, but the 6.
I got to put $35, 10 on the 6, 5 on the 7, 12, 11, 2, 3, nickel each.
Try it. See what they say. What? You want that? You haven't heard that bet before? It's called the router.
Yeah, it's called the router. Nathan, he just asked for a customized routing number.
For the bank, yeah.
For the bank. I'd like a customized routing number.
Of course, sir. Do you play craps by any chance?
Yeah, these are your selections.
All right, last call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Tristan from Orange County. I was listening to some old episodes, and I mean, it's on the new episodes too, but I was just wondering if Dr. Mike's daughters are embarrassed about the 9512 wagers little sound bump that you play when you do the voicemail. Like, come on, Dad, we were 9 when you recorded that. Why are you still using that? Well, I was just wondering if they were embarrassed or if you were under some sort of contractual obligation to stop at any certain point if they were smart enough to sign paperwork when you recorded it. All right. Bye.
Second person this week to mention that we need to change that. I don't know if that should change.
Oh, no, it's not going to change.
No, my daughters aren't embarrassed at all. If you watch the Vegas Introvert episode, he talks about that, and I talk about how I constantly embarrass my children. So that's the least of their worries.
Yeah, really. They certainly didn't sign anything when I had them recorded. We weren't nearly that forward thinking. I didn't even bother to pay attention to what they were doing. They were bouncing that ball and it ended up on the recording. So, yeah.
Yeah, I live for embarrassing people.
Yeah.
And the more I know you, the more you get embarrassed. So my family is prime target, right?
Yeah, he is absolutely right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so the next episode, we're actually scheduled to record when we're going to be in Vegas. So our next episode is probably going to be a little late. We'll probably record when we get back, and then we'll have stories and what have you. So expect the next episode to be a little bit late. But again, we're going to be in Vegas starting that weekend, June 3rd. Either I will be tweeting or I may hand over those duties to you, Dr. Mike, but watch our Twitter account to see where Dr. Mike is at least. I'm going to be, hopefully, the whole time playing poker there, seeing how long I can last.
I should take a little recording device and record snippets of audio while you're playing.
Well, that's a good idea. This one right here that we use to record the show.
I'll just record snippets of audio like, the guy next to Mark looks really depressed.
You're going to be embarrassing me, talking about embarrassing. Hey, Mark, I'm eating cream cheese. Everybody at my table turns around. Do you know him? No.
Why would I know that guy eating cream cheese?
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We want to thank some people for some recurring donations. Robin from Anytime Gambling, Nathan, Brian Dancer, Brian and Sarah, Josh, and a new recurring donation from Christian. Thank you very much. We also got a new recurring donation from Crap Vegas, the new podcast, and Josh, co-host of that episode, sent us a separate donation. Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. Here's a karma donation from my upcoming 50th birthday trip to Vegas, June 10th through the 14th. Keep up the good work. You know I love the show. My best to both of you. Oh, well, thanks very much, Josh.
Yes, and he's missing us by a week.
We're going to miss him, yeah.
Well, and I think his birthday is when we're there. Didn't he say that?
Was that what he said? Yeah, I can't remember.
Something to that effect, and his wife needed to go too, so they put it a week later.
Needed to go too, yeah. Anyway, happy birthday, Josh, and thank you. We also got a donation from Chad. I hope Mark wears some You Can Bet on That swag to the WSOP. Here's a few bucks to help make it happen. Thanks for putting together such an enjoyable and enriching podcast. Oh, I should. Maybe I won't even do anything online. Maybe I'll go to some place local here so I can
just get a quick
something
shirt
fast,
printed,
and then that way I can see what it looks like too. Oh,
yeah.
God. You know,
had to be a
we're
smart
coming
thing
up
to
on
do.
our 10-year anniversary. We have no swag to offer to speak.
Hey, that's all on you because nobody expects me to do it.
Oh, you promised you were going to do it. You said your wife had designs.
She talks about it all the time. But right. I'm gonna have to light a fire under that.
Yeah,
oven.
Thank you before you move. Yeah. And finally, a donation from John. Karma donation for an upcoming Vegas trip at the end of June. Great show. Well, thank you very much, John.
Yes.
Hey, be sure to check out our TV listing showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks at youcanbetonthat.com/TV-listings and our list of gambling-related movies at youcanbetonthat.com/movies. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. Here it comes. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
Or you can email us at youcanbetonthat@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at youcanbetonthat and on Facebook at facebook.com/youcanbetonthat. Finally, please go to your favorite podcast app and write a review of the show. We love getting your feedback. You know, Mike, before I hand it off to you, when I'm talking about Facebook here, it reminded me of something. They are getting rid of podcasts on Facebook. So those of you who have been listening to our podcast through Facebook, you're not going to be able to do that anymore. And also for those who contact us via Facebook, for whatever reason, I find Facebook to be the hardest social media to work with because sometimes I'll get messages from listeners that I won't see for like a month because I didn't jump through the right hoops to get to it. And it's like, oh my gosh, I feel bad about that. So, you know, if that's still your preferred method of contacting us, by all means, continue to do so, and I'll do my best to respond. But if for some reason I haven't responded or it's taken a while, that's one reason. Sometimes I just don't know. You know, when it comes to email, you know, I'll respond to those eventually. Maybe not very quickly, but eventually I will, and certainly on Twitter as well. So anyway, I'm just dumping on Facebook here.
Yeah. Well, I find it hard to navigate too.
Yeah,
I don't.
Yeah. So anyway, Dr. Mike, what do you got here?
Well, time's changing, Mark.
Yes.
My daughter went to the prom last night, took a picture. She's taller than me.
Well, with
high heels on, yeah. But the same girl who, you know, bounced that ball, and, you know, their little voices, and now they're all grown-ups and heading off to college and stuff. But just so everyone is clear, the podcast goes on as normal.
Oh, yep.
Yep. We'll still try and record on a regular basis at a regular time. Yep. And yeah, nothing much will change other than I'll be living 2,000 miles away.
Right. Well, it'll be nice because you'll be able to report to us about all the casinos in that area. And every episode there'll be a new. Where'd you go this time, Dr. Mike?
I don't know about every episode.
Yeah, I'll have to create a new bumper for you. It'd be a little song or something. Where in the world is Dr. Mike?
Where in the world? There you go.
Yeah.
Maybe I should travel around the world.
Well, you said you wanted to go to all those big sporting events, too. So
I'm going to try and do that. Yeah. And we're going to go to Italy eventually here.
Supposedly.
Yeah. So if we go to Italy, I'll have to check out all the casinos.
Thank you.
Yeah, casinos and museums. I don't know. You know, Italy's kind of known for both.
Yeah. Museums and casinos.
Yeah.
That's what you think of, right?
Sure.
It's Family Feud.
Yeah, right.
What do you think of when you think of Italy? Which one's going to be number one? Museums or casinos? All right. Thanks for listening.
Good night.
El Cajon? That's the anus of San Diego.